Hey guys, it's Mitch. How's it going? All right, for context, once again, it's 1994. The comics industry is slowing down rather noticeably. So what happens is that Marvel Comics starts panicking. I mean, DC does too, but Marvel, I think, more noticeably. So they're going to pull out all the stops, which means more number ones, more gimmick covers. You take a book that's floundering, that nobody gives a shit about, like, say, I don't know, Avengers West Coast, and you go, well, what if we just put it out again as a number one and give it a title that sounds more like X-Force? And thus we get Force Works number one. It certainly does. So just before we get into it, if you enjoy the channel, if you feel like you might want to help out a little bit, go subscribe on my Patreon. Links are in the description. Gives you early access to everything I do. Helps out the channel. Helps to buy new comics. So yeah, we're in the middle of the slowdown. Marvel's trying to go all grim and gritty on everything, including crap like Avengers West Coast. So from what I understand, the deal with Avengers West Coast is in issue 102, which is the last issue of that series. The Avengers disband Avengers West Coast. I don't know why. I don't think anybody particularly cares. I took a quick flip through that book. From what I could tell, it looks like the most boring thing ever. Nothing actually happens. It's just debate back and forth about why the team's being canceled. So now we got to restart things, right? Naturally. So why don't we just get straight into this? Because it's not like there's going to be any kind of story. We don't have anything we need to set up. So this is our cover here. Double gatefold by a guy that's been told, from what I can tell, to draw as much like Jay Lee as possible. Although I can see a little bit of Tom Rainey in here from time to time, I think. I'm not familiar with this artist at all. This is Tom Tenney. Yeah, never heard of him. And I mean, from what I can tell, you know, he's going to try, but he doesn't have a ton of talent, at least not at this point. These are going to be our members. We got Wonder Man, Scarlet Witch, Iron Man, Spider-Woman, and U.S. Agent. U.S. Agent gets a new outfit in this one, and we're all very excited. And you can't see too much of the Jay Lee influence on this one. A little bit, I'd say, in Wonder Man, here and there. But it really does look like he's got the textures pretty much down in some areas, but he doesn't understand structure at all. Like, just look at the women. The women do not look right. No space between rib cage and hips. Doesn't seem to understand that it's beneficial to draw a chin on a woman either. Weird, vague textures in the background instead of background. Sure. And big ol' shot of Iron Man's head in the middle here with some decent metal textures going on. Like I said, this guy is trying. I don't think he has it. I don't know if he ever gets it. But, you know, there's some interesting attempts in here, at least, I guess. And the other thing that's worth mentioning is the gimmick cover. Because it's got this thing here. Whatever this is, when I first got my copy, I thought it had been damaged. Look at that. It's like, oh shit, I got the copy that was like on top of the box when they opened it with an X-Acto knife. But no, this is what everybody's copy looks like. Because this is some kind of like pop-up image or something. I haven't tried opening it yet. It's like stuck to the cover here. So you see my, this is going to be my maiden voyage trying to pry this thing loose. I just realized this thing's 30 years old. It may not want to let go too much. Okay, if this cover rips, it rips, right? Oh, there it is. I was pulling on the wrong part. All right. What is, oh, it is ripping. There we go. What the fuck am I looking at? Oh. What? What? What is going on? I don't understand what this is. Okay, we've got Wonder Man here. And there's bodies. I think bodies are fighting. I don't understand why it's in this shape. This is very confusing. I feel like me holding it like this is going to get me banned or something. Okay, you sit. Get the fuck back down there. Holy shit. Oh my god, I think I gotta wash my hands now. I'm gonna have to make this like Patreon-only content as I fucking gape a cover. Holy Christ. Anyway. Alright, so we'll try to put that out of our minds and just continue with the video, right? See, the problem is that the rest of this thing isn't gonna be any really kind of interesting to talk about. I feel like most of it was in that disturbing fucking cover. Okay, so, alright, here we go. We're gonna start with a splash page. So this is going to be written by Dan Abnett and Andy Lanning. I'm not familiar with any of these names, except for Joe Rosas on colors, and who's fine. You know, he's okay, as far as I can tell. Tom Teddy, penciler. Ray Garcia, inker. Jack Morelli, letterer. Oh, Tom DeFalco. I know him. Okay. And we're going to start off with a Kree ship in orbit over Earth. That looks pretty good. That's about as much as I can say about that. This Earth is a little crazy, but that's okay. And no one really cares about that shit. How did you make the ship look? Didn't do a bad job. I like the shadows on it too. Shadows don't line up with where the sun is, but that's okay. So nobody gives a shit about that. So this is a Kree ship, and I don't even fucking know. They're tracking a target or something. There's not a whole lot of sense to what's even going on in this comic book. I get the feeling this is Marvel Method, and whoever the writer is wasn't skilled enough to come up with reasons for things to happen. Why do I say that? There's just little hints here and there that he's just not really up to snuff. So, for instance, when we're describing the captain of the Kree ship here, this is Major Callum Lowe, commands the Star Stealth Cadre. The tissue of his face is corrupted by cryotrauma, a common trait in those who spend long periods in suspended animation. I assume he's talking about all this, whiteout crosshatch crap here on the forehead, which I'm pretty sure is Tom Tenney doing a version of Jay Lee, like veins and stuff. I'm quite sure Jay Lee would do this kind of thing a lot of the time, only he would do it, more stylishly, because Jay Lee does everything pretty stylishly. And I don't think Tom Tenney understood what he was looking at, and was like, why has he got scars all over his face? I better come up with something real quick. So anyway, we get the impression that the Kree are tracking somebody that they're trying to kill. And, since this is essentially an Avengers West Coast book, that's probably who they're looking for, right? The artwork here isn't too bad. I mean, there's obvious discrepancies. Like this guy's not, he doesn't 100% know what he's doing. And it's fairly obvious. But, I mean, he's throwing out a bunch of shadows to try and make up for it. He's throwing in a bunch of background detail. Like I said, this guy's trying, which I appreciate. All right, so from there, we're going to cut to the Avengers West Coast compound, which I believe got destroyed. Seems to be the case. So Wonder Man and Iron Man touched down. Is Wonder Man anybody's favorite character? Or even like a character they like? I feel like I've never read anything with Wonder Man in it. I don't know if he's supposed to have a personality. So they do a quick breakdown on what happened at the end of Avengers West Coast when the team was disbanded. Just for those who missed it at the time, just in case you're just picking up a number one and you don't know what the fuck this book is about. And they're met by Scarlet Witch and Spider-Woman. I forgot all about Spider-Woman. I kind of remember her, like there was a bit of a to-do about her back when she first got introduced, as far as I can recall, but it's like very faint. So they just do a big old, hey, good to see you again. Scarlet Witch seems to be kind of handsy with everybody. And we'll see more of that going in. And they're just going to go into the compound and they're going to, discuss whatever Tony's brought them here to discuss. I don't mind some of the things going on this page. I don't know how much of this was thought up by the penciler, though. Like the musculature down here looks pretty damn good. I like this pose from Wonder Man. I like how much black is getting put into Wonder Man's outfit. That sort of thing. Some of this stuff, though, I'm almost sure is cribbed. Like the pose here, I'm almost certain, because if there's one thing I can tell by flipping through this thing, it's that this guy doesn't know how to construct a figure. All right, so inside, they run into U.S. Agent and most of his head. Looks like the top cut off here, but that's okay. Again, I get the impression this guy doesn't understand how to construct faces either, because faces look completely different from profile to how they do at three-quarter view to how they do straight on. Now, that being said, as I said at the beginning, I'm quite sure that the penciler was being instructed to draw as much like Jay Lee as possible. And I mean, you can see it a bit in this face here. We'll see it more as it continues. And U.S. Agent, I guess the point just is he's a dick, which has always been the case with U.S. Agent as far as I can tell. So if you need somebody to cause drama in the group, that's why you get U.S. Agent involved. And Iron Man is going to start in on his spiel. Let's see, look at this musculature. There's some neat stuff going on in here. I wish I could tell if this was the actual guy. Because, I'd kind of like to steal some of this, to be honest. I want to make sure I'm stealing it from the right guy. Interesting, shiny stuff going on. Doesn't look 100% right. I don't care. Looks kind of neat. So, yes, Iron Man is going to tell us all about his new vision for Avengers West Coast. Because that's all it is. These are the same people who were all in Avengers West Coast back in issue 102, as far as I can tell. I think generally when you want to do a new team, you at least try and shuffle a couple of members out and replace them with somebody interesting. What's Luke Cage doing around this time? He's got his own book. Still. So anyway, Iron Man has decided that he's sick of the Avengers being a reactionary force, even though it's kind of implied in the name. Never mind. Doesn't matter. So he wants to basically build Avengers West Coast as an active strike team that seeks out trouble, essentially. I mean, this is 30 years. It's weird to think that's only 30 years into the Marvel Universe, but that's what it is. It's 30 years into the Marvel Universe. We have organizations like Hydra and AIM and, whatever else, the fucking Cobra Connection or whatever they're called, all the steak people. Is that a wrestling team? Is that what that, I don't, that must be something. But he's proposing that, yes, they go take preemptive strikes against these organizations or whatever, like terrorists, fucking threats from other galaxies, just like how X-Force does. Because that's supposed to be the deal with X-Force around this time too, right? Is that they're not just sitting around waiting to be attacked by Mr. Sinister or Magneto or whatever. They're going to go seek out the Marauders and beat the living shit out of them. And he's saying how, we've been teammates for years, so it's not like we have to figure out whether or not we all work together. This is just a reboot anyway. And the result of his TED Talk is Wonder Man's 100% in, US Agent, one of those, is 100% out, or, he says he is anyway. And Scarlet Witch and Spider-Woman are maybes. Woman's prerogative, they get to make up their mind later. Interesting compositional decision here anyway, when we're trying to show Iron Man speaking to everybody, but we don't want to cram them all into his big glory shot here. We're just going to kind of put busts of them all over the place. I feel like you could do that as panels, and it would be maybe a little bit less awkward. Some of these don't look too bad. I like the shadowing on Wonder Man here for the most part. It's a little bit iffy, but not, it's pretty good. And you can see what he's doing up here. Like, again, I can see this completely as a Jay Lee drawing, with all this stuff here looking just far more, spontaneous and energetic. Anyway, we'll get into that more in a minute. First, we got to get back to the Kree, who have tracked their target to where the Avengers West Coast are going to be hanging out now, which is some kind of R&D place that Iron Man owns that he refers to as the Works. And he calls it that because he's got a pretty bad sense of humor. So when people would ask him, hey, where's this thing we're looking for? He would say, it's in the Works. That's it. And yeah, so we're going to get a little bit of a tour of the Works, I suppose. The art, not terrible-ish. You can see here, like I said, doesn't understand what he's doing with facial construction. When he's got all these heads in profile, another thing, doesn't understand what he's doing with composition. It's okay. Like, I'm pretty sure this guy is pretty young. It's a drag when they do this. It's usually Marvel that does this. When they want a book to have a certain look, it's like, man, we really like to get an artist like Jay Lee. But we can't do that here. Take this guy who has no name. You, just draw like this other artist. You can do it. We totally believe in you. No, you can't. Although sometimes you get interesting results. And, I said before, this guy, I think he's trying quite a bit. Well, he's got a lot of templates he's using in the background here. That's all right. I think we can let that slide. He's doing a lot of interesting stuff here with this kind of ravine that the Works cork or whatever. I don't know why it's a cork. That seems kind of dumb. But somebody designed the thing. He probably designed the thing. Oh, poor guy. But there's some thought put into these rocks all around here. I like that. And this shot here, like the actual layout of the inside of the Works is okay. I like the effort. These figures here aren't great, particularly from this angle. And I think this is our guy on varnish. This is what his stuff looks like when he's not trying to draw like somebody else. And you can tell it's, if he doesn't have something direct to work from, it's not going to turn out all that great. So we're going to get introduced to the Jarvis of this place. Although, of course, at this point in time, Jarvis is, the butler. So this is Plato, who is a similar program to something they have at the Avengers called Homer, which I wasn't aware of at all. And he gives us a bit of a schematic of the inside of the Works. Not exactly super detailed, but it gets the job done. So after giving his presentation, he's like, what do you guys think? Nobody's changed their minds just yet. I think one thing they can all decide on is that they don't want Iron Man leading them. I don't know that there's much of a reason for it here. He says he ruined his relationship with Rhodey, so War Machine, by failing to be upfront. And apparently he's got a feigned death that happened recently, so that he hasn't let them in on, why that happened. So He feels like he's not really the guy everybody should be looking to at this time, so he's going to recommend Scarlet Witch instead. Like I said, there doesn't seem to be a very good reason for it. It's just, I don't know, let's do it with Scarlet Witch as the leader this time. Here's that head again. And again, we're going to keep seeing that profile over and over again. It's a bad profile. So Wonder Man's like, yeah, I'm absolutely in. Thanks for inviting me. I'm going to go find my room now. Everybody else seems like they still need convincing. Apparently, U.S. Agent and Spider-Woman are an item, potentially, because she seems to be leaning on his shoulder, and I'm pretty sure that's his hand on her ass, which is just notable for things that will come up later on. And that is absolutely a Jay Lee head that he stole. Doesn't look too bad. But then he didn't draw it. You know, one day I'm going to do, pretty soon actually, one day I'm going to do the Wolverine, I think it's 88 and 89, that is almost exclusively made up of traced images and traced directly. So be on the lookout for that one. That's going to be fun. All right, so Iron Man is going to go and visit everybody who has second thoughts at the moment. First, he's going to start with Spider-Woman and show her around her apartment. Looks just a little Fallout-y, but he explains to her that this one is set up with a nursery because I guess Spider-Woman has a daughter, I think, and that's enough to convince her that she should join the team. And he's like, cool, I like you on the team. And he goes off and visits Scarlet Witch, and he gets all set to try and convince her that, no, you should lead the team. We need you. You've got this quality and this quality. And she's like, no, I decided actually before you came in that little interval when I was just sitting in my darkened room. Yeah, no, I want to be team leader. He's like, oh, cool. Not a whole lot on here that's particularly great. I mean, I'll give him some props for some of these camera angles that he's choosing. These aren't exactly easy. He's not 100% pulling them off, but he's doing a credible job, I'd say. And, you know, this shot of Scarlet Witch isn't too bad, if only she had somewhere to store food when she ate it. That's the only drawback. Another Jay Lee face. Jay Lee face is all over the place. And then we're going to cut to U.S. Agent's room, where Scarlet Witch has to convince U.S. Agent to be part of the team, because I guess U.S. Agent doesn't 100% trust Tony, maybe? Apparently, U.S. Agent doesn't want to join the team because he's kind of realized that he's just a bad copy of Captain America, which is like, isn't that your thing? I thought that was your gimmick, man. And she's like, no, you're a good guy. You got good qualities. Total, you're good. We all like you. Big thumbs up, U.S. Agent. And he's like, all right, I'm in. And she kind of leans in. It's like, wait, didn't you just have your hand on Spider-Woman's ass? I'm going to put that on the penciler, though, for making this just seem kind of awkward. Are they smooching? It seems like they're smooching. Although it also seems like U.S. Agent is completely unaware of his surroundings. Again, pretty bad figure work. Didn't have a direct source there. A lot of the time when he's got to do a smaller figure, it looks like he tries to wing it. And with the women, it doesn't come across. So, okay, now Tony's going to show them around the rest of the place and just, you know, tell them, hey, you made the right choice. We got awesome tech here. Look at all these, like, Blackbird-looking things. They're not quite Quinjets, but kind of close. And then he flies away to go inform the Avengers about what's going on, because he figures that's polite. And he's super stoked. He's like, I don't believe it. I think I did it. Which doesn't seem like a very Iron Man kind of thing to think. But maybe he did. Why not? All right, back to the Kree ship, where somebody advises the captain that Quarry A is about to intersect with Quarry B. So we're finding out that there are two targets that they're tracking, that they're trying to take down at the same time. This will get developed. Again, nothing particularly special in the art. Back at, I guess this is at the Avengers West Coast headquarters. You know, neat stuff going on in the background here. Like I said, it looks like it's been wrecked. Where Vision and Black Widow have showed up. Basically, they're stopping by the Avengers West Coast headquarters to pick up any sensitive material, as they would have some, and anything would still belong to the Avengers, which is a reasonable excuse for these two to be here. And they're bickering because it's 1994, and nobody's allowed to get along, when all of a sudden there's an explosion, and they look out into the hole and find the Kree ship, or a Kree ship. I think it's just a scout ship, with a platoon of invaders here. So we should get some action stuff pretty soon. Oh, here, what do you know? We just made it to halfway through the book. You may notice me starting to speed things up as I realize that we're only halfway. And of course, there's not going to be a whole lot to talk about other than just action, 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 right? Wonder Man rushes in, punches a Kree up and through the wing of the ship, bringing it down crashing. That's kind of neat. Again, the artwork, Not too special. You can see what he's doing here. Like, this is like Executioner's Song X Factor era Jay Lee. It's very similar to what he's doing on there. So the Kree fire up an ion cannon from their main ship that's still in orbit, and they blast down on Vision and Wonder Man, doing weird veinies, like not veinies, more like cracks, I guess, all over Wonder Man. What the ion cannon is doing is it's overpowering Wonder Man and kind of shutting Vision down. So this is the Kree's objective. So if that is what that is, cracks, I guess that kind of works. And then we get a recorder come down, which is something I'm vaguely familiar with. It looks Kirby-esque. I know they just record, like, historical events, and the recorder basically explains what the deal is, which is that Wonder Man is being overloaded, with the idea being that between him and the Vision, something will happen that will basically explode them and collapse the planet in on them. Lots of screamy faces. You know, I don't mind the Jay Lee shots he's picking for this Deep Shadow stuff. That all looks okay. So Scarlet Witch and Black Widow, which are names that I constantly confuse, mostly calling Black Widow Scarlet Witch because Scarlett Johansson. They're defending themselves against some Kree, and I guess they're having trouble with it. And then Spider-Woman and the new look U.S. Agent leap into the fray, complete with, like, plasma shield. Doesn't look great, but, you know, whatever. Looks like the artist came up with a new treatment for screamy faces, where he does just some vertical hatching around the tongue, which, I don't think that one works, but that's okay. Wonder Man flies up to the Kree ship, busts himself in, and he's going to try and destroy the ion cannon. And the recorder follows hot on his heels. Yeah, some of this stuff doesn't look too bad. Like, I like the way this hand looks. I think probably this isn't our guy's creation. I think he probably took this from something. But, you know, it looks pretty good with all the black and the cracks anyway. And down on the ground, a new threat emerges as some other Kree shows up, looking very 1994, with his skull buttons and his chains and his giant shoulder pads. It's a good effort. Yeah, he's still doing those abs all right. I wonder if he's actually figuring that out. The Kree decide that since he's not attacking ForceWorks, that's the name of a team. It doesn't sound like a team. Sounds freaking stupid. But since he's on their side, that he should be destroyed too, so they're going to take pot shots at him. And of course, he defeats anybody who comes at him fairly easily. They ask him who he is. He's like, I am called Sentry. Beyond that, I do not know. So mysterious cavalry shows up. Big in 1994. And then more cavalry shows up as Iron Man finally arrives. Yeah, I really don't like this screaming mouth effect. The rest of it doesn't look too terrible. And there's like tons of detail all over, like every page. He's definitely putting in the work. You know, I'd venture to guess that if you gave this guy 6 months and said, okay, you can stop trying to draw like Jay Lee now, or even, you know, still keep trying to draw like Jay Lee, he would get a fair bit better. And I mean, that might have even happened. Maybe I should check that. Yeah, I'm not sure if he did or not. As far as I can tell from his credits, he doesn't really draw much in the way of comics after 95, 96. There are a couple of credits after that, but I think that's for collections. Which is a bit of a shame, because this guy at least is showing work ethic and some understanding of some aspects of penciling. And I mean, if you combine those two things and you keep him going for 6 months, 10 months, a year, he might turn into something. I mean, fuck, the Protectors guy turned out to be not bad, so why not? All right, so they're still fending off the Kree. They seem to be able to handle it fairly easily now. Good shot choice, going for the extreme angle. That's always a good idea. And this is Calm Before the Storm stuff. So Wonder Man has destroyed the ion cannon, so they have a minute to collect themselves while Vision realizes what's been happening. That's a pretty good close-up of a face. And I think around here, I'm not sure where it is, but we learn that for some reason the Kree believe that Wonder Man and Vision are responsible for the destruction of Hala, which I believe is the Kree homeworld. So they're targeting them directly and trying to destroy their homeworld. Which, I mean, is as good a reason as any, I suppose, for a confrontation in an issue 1. Except, does anybody remember what the purpose of ForceWorks was? What their, mission statement was? It was for them to seek out threats and take preemptive action, right? I'm not seeing any of that in here. And from what I understand, that's kind of how things continue. Anyway, out in space, there's some kind of eruption, and we get all sorts of, comets or asteroids incoming. a couple of which hit the ship. That looks pretty great, actually. This guy drawing tech isn't bad at all, I gotta say. So the impact, let's see, the main power cells of the ion cannon have ruptured and will explode in 12 seconds. So the whole thing that Wonder Man's been trying to prevent, which is the ion cannon overcharging him, making him explode, it's going to happen anyway now. So Wonder Man has to take the ion cannon, flies through the ship with it, and takes it out into deep space, where it explodes with him at the center. That's, I don't think as impactful as they were hoping for. I think there would be a bunch of different ways to do that. But then again, like I said, this guy is obviously very inexperienced, probably pretty young, and, he just doesn't have that idea. So, I mean, this is fine for a full splash of our guy exploding. So down on the ground, Force Works sees the explosion. They realize, they saw Wonder Man take off, and they're like, oh shit, I think he died. But they don't have much time to grieve him because those asteroids that were coming in out of space hit the ground. And Century here, not a great name for this character anyway, says this is the scatter. And now they're going to swarm FW, but they don't seem to make very much headway at all. And yeah, oh shit, that was it. It's over. Scarlet Witch did something witchy, and they all just kind of disappeared. And so they get another moment to settle. That's when the recorder comes back down to Earth and tells them that there's no detection of life off where Wonder Man supposedly exploded. So Iron Man has to go, Wonder Man trusted me. This isn't the way how could it have gone so wrong so very quickly? So next issue, Aftermath. Has the dream already died? Did nobody buy this issue? Are we canceling? And that's it for Force Works #1. Let me see that thing again. Oh, God. I feel soiled. Oh, it looks like it got folded when I put it back together. Oh, well. I don't know who the hell thought this was a good idea. Jesus Christ. Yeah. Okay, so, I mean, it's not the worst #1. Honestly, I didn't remember the story being worth anything, really. It's fine. It's just kind of paint by numbers. Get the people together, show them around the new place, introduce a threat, and have them deal with the threat. Oh no, one of them died. But we've got our replacement guy here who seems to be equally formidable. No mention of the team's mission statement after its initial pronouncement. And you know what? It's funny. I was thinking of New Warriors #1, which I did a little while back, which didn't, I didn't think was particularly great, but at least on a story basis, I think it did a much better job of, introducing the team and just doing the whole paint by numbers, let's have a threat and have the team come together to defeat it. This is not impressive at all. None of these characters is likable, unless you're, already fixated on Scarlet Witch or something. But it's the 90s. Again, nobody's supposed to be likable. They're all supposed to be grim and gritty badasses who don't get along with each other. Look at this. This thing's a fucking mess now. This is what everybody's copy of ForceWorks looks like. There is no such thing as a mint ForceWorks #1. Anyway, yeah, ForceWorks doesn't look like it stuck around very long. 22 issues. Tom Teddy was able to stick on the book for 4 of those before, they just went, okay, we need to get somebody on here who can keep this book afloat. So they brought in Paul Ryan. I see Dave Taylor mentioned. I saw Jim Calafiore. Kind of a who's who of who can get pages in on time. And then it kind of petered out pretty quickly by the looks of it. So I don't think too many people are mourning the loss of ForceWorks. Although it did make a bit of a comeback, didn't it? Yeah, there's a ForceWorks 2020. I thought I'd seen something like that. That lasted 4 issues. Nobody gave a shit about ForceWorks. Come on, Marvel, what are you doing? Just going, hey, you like nostalgia? You recognize this name? And comic book people went, bullshit, we do. Even if we do, we remember Ravage too. You don't see us hankering for reboots on that one. So yeah, that's ForceWorks #1. Not good, not packed kind of bad, so just kind of not worth any money. Now I want to check out things like Fantastic Force and see if that's, maybe a bit more up the Walter McDaniel alley. But for this one anyway, that's going to do it. Thanks very much for watching. If you like this video, please hit like, hit subscribe, hit the notification so you know when the next one's coming out. Go over and subscribe on my Patreon. Gives you early access to everything I do, from the Blood Force stuff to the YouTube videos before they get uploaded to YouTube, as well as some Patreon exclusive content. You can also follow me on Instagram and DM me there for commissions. And you can join the Blood Force Discord server. But yeah, that's going to do it. Thanks again for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.